Swing by one of their locations in Lincoln or Omaha today and experience the Edward Stone difference, your reliable choice for over 20 years.
Mulberry Barbecue by Single Barrel is the answer to all your lunch and dinner cravings. They have everything from smoked turkey sandwiches to brisket burritos to burnt-in sandwiches and pulled pork. Try a dinner plate option of barbecue nachos, a half-smoked chicken, a full slab of ribs, and so much more. Don't forget their great sides like mac and cheese, cheesy potatoes, barbecue beans, or red slaw. Mulberry Barbecue by Single Barrel, open Monday to Saturday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. at 11th and Cornhusker Highway.
When your home fills up with family, Aloe Fiber makes sure that space is a happy place for everyone. Aloe Fiber experts install it all, and full service means step-by-step support, guiding you through everything so you can stay connected to what matters, and the family can always feel at home. Put the game on, and don't worry about your Wi-Fi calling a timeout. Better TV and internet service is one connection away. Call Aloe at 866-481-2556 or visit aloefiber.com.
With a Planet Fitness Black Card, you don't just get a great workout, you get a great perk out because your membership is packed with perks. For $1 down and $24.99 a month, you'll get perks like access to any of our 2,400 clean and spacious locations. Bring a friend anytime and both work out with tons of equipment that'll give you that big fitness energy. Relax in the Black Card spa and more. Work out and perk out with the PF Black Card. Join for just $1 down and $24.99 a month. Hurry, this deal ends soon. See Home Club for details.
It's the fall sports season, and that means that the school year is back in session and you're planning road trips for Nebraska football games and following your kids around to their different events. Stop telling yourself you'll upgrade your car someday and do it now. Mullen Motors Lot is full of great vehicles to take home so you don't have to worry about your current car struggling through another season. Come check out their lot just north of 48th and Lake and find your next ride. As your fall schedule gets busy, you'll need a reliable way to get to your destinations. Mullen Motors.
No taglines, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
Hello, Charlie Stone here, and joining me is Andy Goodyear of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, I was noticing on your website you have more than 150 new 2024 and 2025 Hondas in stock right now.
Yes, we do, Charlie. It's neat when you drive by and see all the cars on our lot, and we have most all models and all different colors available, and we even have more than hundreds on the way. We also have the all-new, all-electric 2024 Honda Prologue in stock right now. We have a few of them to choose from, plus qualified buyers get financing from just 1.9% APR.
How about your pre-owned selection?
I talked to a lot of my customers and friends, and they still think that we just sell brand new Honda, but we sell all different models, make of pre-owned cars, and we have more than 100 to choose from right now.
Well, maybe it's time you come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business, 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
This is the Adam Carriker Show.
Position right of the quarterback, out of the shotgun, 1st and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everett. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Adam Carriker.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to the Adam Carriker Show, the show that gives you unique insight, unbridled honesty, and producer Jake and I are going to have a whole lot of fun in the process. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, noon to 1 p.m. Central Time. I have live here in studio, 93.7 The Ticket. You're always welcome to drop by and/or grab your lunch. Come join us. There's a million different ways to watch and or listen. You got the tube of you, YouTube. You've got podcast platforms, Amazon Prime, social media. Are we going to fight? What's going on? Jake's walking towards me with bad intentions. Apparently, he's got to fix a mic. That's all right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to be why was the Ohio State game so important? Talking about that. Why do we throw so many screen passes? I put out a show last night dissecting play calling and Marcus Satterfield and things of that nature. And I didn't talk about why we throw so many screen passes on purpose. It didn't stick out to me. But the more I thought about it after I put that show out, I'm like, you know what? I should just take 90 seconds and explain why I believe we're running so many screen passes. I was a quarterback all the way through high school, much more highly recruited as a quarterback, then a D-end, etc., yada, yada, yada. Okay, either you've heard it before, I haven't talked about it for years at this point, or you'll hear it again at some point in the future, but a story for another day. Called plays for a long time while I've been coaching, obviously played on the defensive side of the ball. There's about a handful of reasons, not even a handful, like 2 or 3 reasons you run screenplays, okay? We'll get into that just a bit as well. Reacting to Matt Rule's press conference. Is he still having a press conference today, Jake? That's the typical Monday norm, but I didn't see that a time was ever sent out via email, which we normally get. But we'll be reacting to Matt Rule's press conference, also reacting to the major college football games. All right. From this past weekend, Texas barely escapes Nashville. Vanderbilt, watch out, folks. Colorado is ranked. Oregon spanks Illinois. And Texas A&M goes to the backup quarterback to win their game. And frankly, so did Penn State. Drew Allen got banged up, but I actually think Penn State's backup quarterback is better than their starter, with all due respect. But right off the top, let's talk. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Nebraska, Ohio State. We're going to look at some of the stats, some of the things that are interesting, and talk about why I feel that game was so important. If you look at the stats, Nebraska had more first downs than Ohio State. It really wasn't even close. 18 first downs for the good guys, 11 for the other guys. Third down conversion, we were just under 33%. You want to be higher, but Ohio State was at 10%. All right, third down conversion rate, Nebraska, 273 total yards, Ohio State, 285, and a lot of those came on 3 long touchdown passes. All right, passing, Nebraska was outthrown, so to speak, to 152 to 221. Will Howard did not throw a lot of incompletions. He was 13 to 16 on the day. Dylan Raiola was 21 to 33. And I mentioned this last night in my show that I put out, CarrikerChronicles.com. All right, Raiola of his 21 completed passes, 8 of them, 38%, almost 40% of his completed passes were for 0 or negative yards, which led to why in the first half we averaged 2.7 yards per pass attempt. And in the second half, all right, per pass attempt, it was 4.6. Meanwhile, Ohio State averaged almost 14 yards per pass attempt. Rushing-wise, though, I tell you what, Nebraska outrushed Ohio State 121 to 64. Nebraska's yards per rush is better. It had been 2.4 for 2 straight weeks. It goes up to 3.7, which is still less than the 3.9 we were not so happy about after the first 5 to 6 games. But Ohio State, 2.1 yards per carry. And Nebraska actually won the time of possession battle, 35:07 to 24:53, had the ball for over 10 more minutes, the good guys did, than the other guys. Penalty-wise, we did not win that battle. We are, unfortunately, among the worst in the Big Ten. We had 7 penalties for 62 yards. Ohio State had 3 for 36. Some of the other interesting things that stood out to me. Okay, we have played Ohio State 11 times over the course of history. Every single time we've ever played them, at least one team has been ranked. Unfortunately, all right, at this point, the Buckeyes have won 8 consecutive meetings. Now, place kicker John Hull, what a day to find a kicker. Nebraska, as we all know, had a real chance and honestly probably should have won the game. Really should have. And what a day for John Hull to find his stroke, so to speak. All right, immunity on that one. But place kicker John Hull connected on field goals of 39, 54, and 47 yards. All right, those are the 3 longest field goals of the season by Nebraska, all in one game. Hull's previous long was 21 yards. Hadn't made a field goal since September 20th. The Huskers hadn't, by the way. Hull's 54-yarder tied for the 6th longest in school history and tied for the longest ever in a road game. Brett Maurer, also a 54-yarder. He made at UCLA in 2012. All right, Hull's field goal was the longest since Tristan Alvano made a 55-yarder against Purdue a year ago. And I forgot to mention, all right, the last few minutes of every show that I'm here, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Also check out Steve Taylor on Wednesdays, noon to 1 p.m. Central Time, the loaded hour here on 93.7. The Ticket is going to be the People's segment. Sending your questions, thoughts, concerns, comments, otherwise. To what number, Jake?
402-464-5685, the Starter Human Jewelers text line.
All right. We will be gathering your best questions, and I will be responding to them at the end of every show, including today. Now, let's move on to the defense. The Nebraska defense recorded 2 sacks, tied for the most allowed by Ohio State in a game this season. The Buckeyes had only allowed 5 sacks in 6 total games coming into Saturday. The Blackshirts also had 7 tackles for loss, the most allowed by Ohio State in a game this season. The previous high was 5 by Western Michigan. Malcolm Hartzog intercepted his team-leading 4th pass of the season. In the third quarter, his 4 interceptions tied for the most by a Husker since Nathan Gary had 5 INTs in 2015. I'm curious to see how many Mr. Hartzog finishes the year with. 4 games left, as we know. True freshman receiver Ja'Cory Barney, just very quietly doing his thing. Very quietly doing his thing. All right, people are aware of who he is, but I think it's kind of flown under the radar. But true freshman receiver Ja'Cory Barney had 7 receptions to increase his total to 34 receptions this season. He is just the 5th Husker freshman and 2nd true freshman to catch 30 passes in a season. Again, 4 more games to go. Tight end Thomas Fedoni caught 4 passes for 55 yards, including a 33-yard catch in the fourth quarter. He had 6 catches last week at Indiana with 4 receptions. On Saturday, Fedoni has 49 career receptions with 1 more catch. He'll become only the 11th tight end in program history with 50 career receptions or more. Nebraska, I always find this interesting. I'm always curious to see who the captains are. Who are the leaders? Who's standing out? All right, the captains for the game Saturday were Jamal Banks, Bryce Benhart, Jamari Butler, and Marquise Buford. Now, let's see. One final stat here on the defense dating back to 2023. Nebraska's allowed just 3 first-quarter touchdowns in its past 14 games. Indiana, obviously outlier here, was just the 3rd opponent the past 20 games to score a touchdown on its opening drive. And this is only the 2nd time all year. Yes, we lost this game. I'm well aware of that. I wrote down the stats. I went through them. I analyzed, and this was stood out to me. All right. This is only the 2nd time all year we've actually outscored our opponent in the second half. The first time was Purdue. That was the only time until Saturday. We outscored Ohio State 11-7 in the second half of this game. All right, take that for what you will. Dante Dowdell was our leading rusher. Dylan Raiola was actually 2nd on the team with 9 carries for 54 yards. Emmett Johnson had 8 carries for 31 yards. Let's see here. Receiving. And this is a bit of a concern to me because only 1 wide receiver was in the top 3 in receptions on Saturday, and it was the aforementioned Ja'Cory Barney. 10 targets, all right, 7 catches, 49 yards, 51 yak yards after contact. Thomas Fedoni, all right, 4 catches. Emmett Johnson, 4 catches. Only 1 receiver in the top 3 when it came to reception totals from last Saturday. All right, so if you're a Husker fan, I feel like there's a lot of good things to take away from Saturday. Not big on moral victories. Most folks thought we were just going to go in there and get waxed, get blown sky high, and get our rear ends whipped sideways. That was a common accepted pregame prediction from a lot of folks. I predicted 38-14. Is that right? 38-14. Yes, 38-14 because I thought we would cover. The spread was 25.5. That's a 24-point spread. Obviously, Nebraska played a lot better than that, and I couldn't be happier, except, I would be happier had we won. Those are the types of games where really we outplayed Ohio State, especially in the second half. You got to find ways to win. Ohio State had 1 second-half drive, and that was it. As soon as they were down, they drove down the field, they scored, and that's how they won the game. They pretty much got their butts kicked, their offense, by our defense the entire second half, barring one drive, the one drive that mattered the most. We got to get over that hump, figure out ways to win games like this. That goes without saying. All right, but here's the deal. Why I believe this game was so important to Nebraska was there was a lot of preseason excitement, all right? And I was fine with that. And then you beat Colorado, and everyone's feeling really good. Then there's a letdown for Illinois, but then you win all the rest of your games. You go into the bye, you're 5-1. You know your toughest games are coming. You don't really know what to make of Indiana. We do now. But at the time, or at least we have a much better idea of the Hoosiers now, all right? You go to Indiana, you've got some goodwill kind of built up, and if you can beat Indiana after the bye week, you're 6-1, you finally beat a ranked team, and then you're going to Columbus, all right? Indiana goes the way it does. My point was there was a certain amount of goodwill going into Bloomington, Indiana that was absolutely destroyed in a lot of people's eyes. And the bloom had come off the rose, the honeymoon period was over, all those things, okay? And it kind of, in a lot of people's eyes, that goodwill was gone. You go to Ohio State, big-time underdogs. Not a whole lot of people give you a chance. All I said, I predicted us to lose by 24 points. That's not really giving them a chance. All I said was, Obviously, anybody can beat anybody on any given day. Again, Vanderbilt beat freaking Alabama, although Vanderbilt's not half bad this year. They just took another previous number one team in Texas down to the wire and only lost by 3 points. So all due respect to Vanderbilt. But they'd never done anything like that before in their program's history. They beat Alabama. My point is, you never know what can happen. But aside from that, my big thing going into Saturday in Columbus was earning respect. Okay, getting back on track, so to speak, by earning some respect. If I'm an Ohio State person today, I'm terrified after Saturday. We won, but we got outplayed. And now we're going into the number 3 team in the country, into their house, Happy Valley, Penn State, all right, who just went into Wisconsin and beat the Badgers with their backup quarterback, Penn State did in the second half, 28-13. If I'm Ohio State, I'm petrified. And part of that is Nebraska did not win the game. I understand that. You play to win the game. But if you understand success, if you understand the staircase of success, and I've talked about this before various times over the years, you can't just jump. Let's say we're at the bottom of the staircase. I don't know if that's fair to say, but let's just, for conversation's sake, say we're at the bottom of the staircase of success. You're not going to jump to the top. You got it. Sometimes you can take 2 or 3 steps at a time, but you're not going to leap and bound all the way to the top. In other words, there's going to be a process, and you've got to buy into the process. You got to understand the process. What bothered me the most about Indiana was it looked like the process was blown sky high. Against Ohio State, the reason I feel that game was so important is because it showed people, we showed what we're capable of a week earlier on a not so good side. We showed people what we're capable of against one of the best teams in the country. Are they going to win the national title like I predicted in the preseason? I don't know about Ohio State. They need to find a left tackle, and they need to find a way to run the ball in general. Kudos to the Black Shirts for just destroying them up front on Saturday. But in general, they got the two of the best running backs in the country, and they still can't run the ball consistently. Oregon held them down too. That's their problem. I'm going to move on. My point is simply this. There's a process, and you've got to understand the process. If you're simply focused on the end goal and the end detail, and all you are focused on is, hey, this is what has to happen, and I want it now, you're missing the process. The process was earning respect back. The process was showing what we could do in a positive manner against a team like Ohio State. There was no bigger opportunity left on our schedule to earn respect and to show that there were things that were going on that were being preached. It doesn't matter if Matt Rule believes in the process and 1% better every day. And I say that because if he understands it, that's great. But he's got to get his coaches. He's got to get the people in the building. He's frankly got to get the fans. He's got to get the players, most importantly, to buy into that process and understand that it's a process. You're not just going to leap to the top of the staircase of success and win every single game. Yes, you play to win the game. No moral victories. But if you understand that there's a process to this and getting people to buy in to what this is going to look like, Saturday in that Ohio State game, in my opinion, was big. Real quick, Jake, does that make sense to you? And then I'm going to talk about why I think we throw so many screens.
Yeah, I mean, it completely changed the narrative for Nebraska from one week to the next, and so it was. I mean, it's weird, but it kind of felt like Nebraska won over the weekend.
Yeah, well, yes, I get what you're saying. Basically, a lot of people felt like there was no hope going into Columbus. Right. Now there's hope for the rest of the year. There really is. There's 4 games that are all winnable, all losable. I will say this. Okay, I'm not going to sit here next Monday and if UCLA scored 1 more point or more than us and have this same thing. UCLA is not Ohio State. They might be the best 2-5 team in the country, and we'll dive into that later this week. They have played one of the most difficult schedules so far of any team in the country. But for me, looking back at Ohio State, you start to see, hey, they didn't wilt when the game didn't start well. They didn't wilt, talking about the players and the team. When, hey, Ohio State gets the ball, boom, within your 30-yard line. Big 4th down stand by the Black Shirts. Like they stood tall for 4 full quarters and frankly outplayed Ohio State, and the stats back this up in the second half. Things we got to work on, got to find a way to win in the moments that mean the most. But if you understand the process, we went from almost feeling like a lot of folks that I talked to at this time a week ago, like there's no hope, to there is hope. Now, the rest of these games, but we're going to be judging way more on wins and losses, starting with UCLA. I hope that makes sense to everybody. All right, I will say this. Nebraska's defense played well enough to win after an awful start. Nebraska's special teams played well enough to win, starting with the field goal unit. Nebraska's offense, did some things, second best defense in the country, et cetera, et cetera. We had 6 trips, 6 offensive possessions where our possession ended inside Ohio State's 40. 6 times our offensive possession ended inside Ohio State's 40. We came away with 7 points. All right, so here's the question. Why do we throw so many screens? So barring me sitting down and just speaking directly with Marcus Satterfield, here is why teams throw screens. Number 1, to counter blitzes. Number 2, because they're easy completions. Sometimes you want to get a young quarterback in rhythm. You want to build some confidence. It's real easy completions. You can get a receiver lathered up, so to speak, get the ball in his hands. All right. And sometimes if you don't trust your offense to protect a quarterback or receivers to create separation, or you don't trust your quarterback to hold the ball and make a decision on a longer developing route with multiple reads, you make it simple. You've got one receiver to throw to, everybody else is blocking, and it's quick throws. So either you're trying to counter a blitz, you're trying to get somebody in rhythm, or there's something about your offense and longer throws that you don't trust, whether it be the receivers themselves, the quarterback himself, or the offensive line protecting. What baffles my mind and blows my mind is the amount of screens that we threw, and we have admitted that we're not very good at perimeter blocking. All right. I was speaking with someone right before the show, and Ja'Cory Barney on one of his screen catches where our receiver's not even blocking the right way. We're blocking them out on an out screen instead of trying to block or pin the defender inside as the receiver's catching the ball, Ja'Cory Barney trying to break out. Like just simple little things like that. That's kind of what I don't understand. Like when we know we're not very good at something, why are we going to try to rely on that very thing, AKA perimeter blocking? Also, just a little bit more variance. Like if you ever get a financial advisor, he's going to tell you to diversify your portfolio. I would say offensive play calling can be like that. Especially if something's not working, maybe call something else. Diversify the portfolio of your play calls. Just a thought. Those are the reasons that I believe we're running screenplays. Number 1, simple completions. Ohio State was blitzing a ton, but I think we came in expecting to do a lot of screens. And I just think there's something about our offensive longer passing game that they don't trust. Personally, let's do less sideways passing. I think that would be great. All right, ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, it's either going to be reacting to Matt Rhule's press conference, unless he's still talking. Then we'll react to college football games across the country, or vice versa. I guess you have to tune in to find out. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Mulberry Barbecue by Single Barrel is the answer to all your lunch and dinner cravings. They have everything from smoked turkey sandwiches to brisket burritos to burnt-in sandwiches and pulled pork. Try a dinner plate option of barbecue nachos, a half-smoked chicken, a full slab of ribs, and so much more. Don't forget their great sides like mac and cheese, cheesy potatoes, barbecue beans, or red slaw. Mulberry Barbecue by Single Barrel, open Monday to Saturday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. at 11th and Cornhusker Highway.
Gary Michaels Clothier's 41st anniversary sale is happening now. Our entire new fall inventory of suits, sport coats, sweaters, slacks, outerwear, footwear, all now marked up to 41% off. Don't miss your opportunity to save big on brands like Marcello, Bugatti, Jack Victor, Heritage Gold, Alberto, and Zanella. It's the Gary Michaels 41st anniversary sale going on now through November 2nd. Gary Michaels Clothier's 56th and Pine Lake, right here in Lincoln.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Hi, this is Investigator Joe Villamonte with the Lincoln Police Union, asking you to vote for Carolyn Bosin for legislator. As a prosecutor, Carolyn Bosin has always supported law enforcement to keep our community safe. Carolyn Bosin has the experience we need. Carolyn Bosin is the only choice for legislator to keep our community safe. Join the law enforcement community in voting to keep our community safe. Vote Carolyn Bosin on November 5th.
Paid for by Bosin for Legislature.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in, temperature-controlled, high-end wine bar. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for wine, beer, spirits, and cigars. wall-to-wall wine and spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
John Henry's has a brand new membership club to protect your entire home in one program. With a VIP and a deluxe option, we will help you find the plan that best fits your needs. Receive discounts on services and equipment, priority service, complimentary inspections, and so much more. Protect your home's plumbing, heating, cooling, and electrical systems all in one membership. Call John Henry's to learn more.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
And electrical.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us. The things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call John Henry's at 402-435-5555 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-435-5555.
Ryan, with all this red and all these people around, I'm still not seeing the tailgate.
Todd Spidell, former body shop owner, terrible driver.
We're getting close. Now, did you know with 3 locations in Lincoln and hundreds of years of combined technician experience, we can get Husker fans back on the road even quicker and safer after their tailgate mishaps? Oh, Todd, turn left right here.
Left or right?
Left, right here.
Right?
Well, you wait for the tow truck. I'm getting a hot dog.
Well, I guess while I'm waiting... All right, most recommended Eustace Body Shop.
Woohoo! Dude, you should be on American Idol.
You really think so?
No.
Accidents happen, even to Husker fans. If it happens to you, call Eustace Body Shop, where our customers send their friends.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
This October, the Bonsall Spooktacular 10 event is back with spooktacular savings all month long. Stop by anytime in October to discover incredible deals, including hot tubs as low as $5,995. That's up to 20% off MSRP. Plus, enjoy 10% off infrared and traditional saunas. Don't miss out on these hauntingly good offers. Visit Bonsall Pool and Spa today. Bonsall Pool and Spa, every day made better at 33rd and Pioneers.
When your home fills up with family, Aloe Fiber makes sure that space is a happy place for everyone. Aloe Fiber experts install it all, and full service means step-by-step support, guiding you through everything so you can stay connected to what matters, and the family can always feel at home. Put the game on, and don't worry about your Wi-Fi calling a timeout. Better TV and internet service is one connection away. Call Aloe at 866-481-2556 or visit aloefiber.com.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show. First and foremost, the People segment is upcoming. Send your questions, comments, thoughts, concerns, and or otherwise. Jake, what's the number?
402-464-5685. The Carter Heyman Jewelers text line.
Jake's away today, Adam boy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, segment 2 of the Adam Carriker Show on the Ticket is sponsored by our good friends at Mulberry Barbecue at 11th and Cornhusker, open Monday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Try their burnt end sandwich, a brisket burrito, barbecue nachos, a full slab of ribs, a half-smoked chicken, and much, much more. Plus, ladies and gentlemen, phenomenal sides. That's not what the ad read says. It's just true. Get fueled for lunch today and make dinner plans at Mulberry Barbecue by Single Barrel, located at 11th and Cornhusker. All right, Rule's still chatting?
Yep.
All right, let's react to some college. The biggest games from the college football weekend this past Saturday. All right, Texas, Vanderbilt. Why am I starting with this game? I don't know, because it's the first one I clicked on my computer here. So here's the deal. All right, Vanderbilt's a pretty good team. They had a real shot to win this game. Obviously, they beat Alabama. They have actually had a pretty good season. so far. I would actually keep them top 25. They have 3 losses. And it's crazy to say, how do you have 3 losses and you lose and you stay in the top 25? All right, here's why. When you're the number 25 team in the country and you're a dog to the number 5 team in the country and you're playing within a field goal, I don't understand why you should be punished for that. Just my thoughts. All right, Texas hasn't quite looked the same the past couple of weeks. Obviously, the Georgia game, anytime you lose, you don't quite look the same when you're undefeated before. But Vanderbilt plays them really, really well. If I'm Texas, I'm looking at Vanderbilt like they're a 3-loss team. And we barely escaped out of Nashville with a win. So if I'm the Longhorns, I'm like, we got to get better at some things because we weren't truly tested until Georgia. And then when we got tested by a team that they didn't get spanked. They actually came back against Alabama. But a team that at one time was down by 4 touchdowns to Alabama, and then they come into our house and they beat us by 15 points. We got some things to work on. Texas may very well be in that SEC title game. Guarantee they're in the college football playoff. But if I'm a Longhorn fan right now, which, just to clarify, I'm not. But if I was, I'd be like, we got some things to work on. All right, Oregon. Man, early on, they did not look phenomenal. I don't know if I said the score, but Texas beat Vanderbilt 27-24. Oregon. I thought Illinois was a pretty good football team. Number 1, Oregon just smacks around number 20, Illinois, where the S is silent, 38-9. And it was 28-3 right out the gate real quick. Dillon Gabriel throws 3 first-half touchdown passes. All right. Ran for a touchdown as well. All right. This is a guy who needs to be in New York. He needs to be at the Heisman Trophy ceremony at the end of the season. Whether he wins it or not, Ashton Genty, Travis Hunter, they seem to be the top 2 guys right now. Travis, for some reason, wants to try to knock Ashton. And we've seen this before. And nobody's seen what Travis is doing. I understand it, but I'm like, man, I think you actually hurt your Heisman Trophy candidacy by not necessarily knocking Ashton, like I just said, but we've seen this before. So it's not that big a deal. I don't know. I didn't think that was the best look. And I'm actually a big fan of Travis Hunter. All right. So I think those 2 guys will definitely be there. That goes without saying, unless something unfortunate happens. But I do think Dillon Gabriel should be there as well. Oregon just rolls Illinois. 527 total yards for the Ducks, 293 for the Fighting Illini. All right, the Ducks, 229 rushing yards. Illinois, 132, not bad, but you still almost get outrushed by 100 yards. Oregon, number 1 team in the country. They look pretty darn good. All right, maybe the game of the day, depending on how you see it, outside of the Nebraska game, because that's always the game of the day. It doesn't matter if we're playing Ohio State or Timbuktu U. Nebraska's always the game of the day. But the other game of the day, depending on how you were looking at it, simply because it was the 2 highest-ranked teams that were playing each other on Saturday. Number 8, LSU. Number 14, Texas A&M. I know A&M lost early to Notre Dame. And I think people kind of wrote A&M off. The Jimbo Fisher era didn't go great. All right, they got a new coach. They got a new staff. Notre Dame comes in. They beat them on their home field, and I think people kind of forgot about A&M. A&M's got one of the top 5 most talented rosters in America. You got teams like Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, A&M, and Clemson. There's your top 5 when you look at the talent composite ranking. So A&M's a dog at home to LSU. A&M falls behind. They're down by 10 points. They put in their backup quarterback, who's a dual threat quarterback, who only completed 2 passes the entire second half, I might add, Marcel Reed. But he ran wild. This dude is electric, okay? He comes in the game, and they go from being down by 10 points. I swear to God, it was 5 minutes later, they're up by 11, okay? Marcel Reed is the guy who came in the game, changed the game with his feet, okay? And he's only a freshman. 9 carries, 62 yards, averaged nearly 7 yards per rush. Texas A&M wins the game 38-23. The AC poll will be released tomorrow. I have not yet taken a gander at the AP poll. Is A&M a top 10 team today? Do you know, Jake?
I believe they're 10th. I think they just got in.
You know what? Actually, I did take a gander. That's right. I actually did a reaction video to it on TikTok. I'm on TikTok now, ladies and gentlemen. Go check it out. It's fun. I get to act a fool in short form, and I don't know. It's fun. I did a brief reaction, 1-minute reaction video to that, and Texas A&M is 10. I think Indiana's too low. I think Notre Dame is too high. I think Texas A&M's a top 10 team, so they got that part right. A&M's undefeated in SEC play. I don't know if people realize that. LSU and A&M were the top 2 teams in the SEC standings. Not Georgia, not Texas, obviously not Bama. It was A&M and LSU. A&M beats LSU. A&M now stands alone, undefeated atop the SEC standings, and they control their destiny. Penn State and Wisconsin. Wisconsin played them tough. All right. Drew Aller, unfortunately, gets hurt at halftime, tries to go in the second half, just can't do it. Penn State does outgain Wisconsin 419 to 298, outrushed the Badgers 173 to 81. But here's the deal. And I don't know if this is a popular opinion in Happy Valley. I don't know if they care what I have to say. I don't know if I care what they think. But Bo Pribula, the backup sophomore quarterback, 11 of 13 in the second half, 98 yards, 1 touchdown, QBR of 85. By the way, Drew Aller was a QBR of 53 in the first half. But he brings, not only is he, I think he's actually a better passer. He's more accurate in the intermediate stuff. He doesn't have the big arm, but he brings the dimension that Aller does not. He can run and make plays with his legs. Penn State, in my opinion, should start Bo Pribula, the sophomore, against Ohio State. Even if Drew Aller, and I pray he is healthy, even if he's healthy. And I think Penn State, if they do that, I think their chances of beating Ohio State, who needs, like, oh my Lord, do they need to find a left tackle? They were down to their third stringer on Saturday. If they don't find one, Penn State will win. If they do, it's going to be an interesting game, and I'll give my prediction later on this week. All right. Any games? Oh, Colorado. Not that this was a great game. Colorado beats Cincinnati 34 to 23. Colorado's like maybe the most improved team in the country. And they're ranked now. I believe 23rd in the AP poll. Will they be ranked in the AC poll? Find out tomorrow. But Colorado beats Cincinnati 34 to 23. Colorado has a chance. They're in the running in the Big 12, which makes them in the running in the college football playoff. I've just been keeping my eye on this team because, unlike most people, I don't think they absolutely suck. I actually think at worst they're as good as they were last year, and my mind really told me they're going to be better. But when you have that many new people on a team, you really only can go like the Florida State route where everything just implodes, and they built their team through the transfer portal as well, or you just get better. Florida State imploded. The other way, Colorado seems to just be getting better and better. And you can't say that either one of them's in like the uber toughest conference, all due respect to the Big 12 and ACC, but the best football is played in the Big 10 and SEC. So it's not like Florida State's playing way tougher teams than Colorado is. I could argue the Big 12 is more competitive top to bottom because it is. The ACC is very top heavy, like 2 teams, maybe 3, I guess, if you want to include Pittsburgh, who is undefeated and top 20 as well. All right. Anything I missed, Jake?
No, I think that covered it pretty well. But you're right. Colorado is looking at their schedule. Haven't beaten a ranked team and isn't scheduled to face a ranked team. So that's kind of the Big 12 this year.
That is the Big 12. A lot of parity. Kansas looks awful. Only lost to Kansas State by 2 points? Unfortunately, if you're a Jayhawks fan, you've lost to Kansas State now 15 years in a row. But again, that is their problem. All right, ladies and gentlemen, send in your questions, thoughts, comments, concerns, otherwise. All right, the people segment's coming. Also, my reaction to Matt Rule's press conference right after this break.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and we want to thank all of our customers for a great September. And now it's time for our annual Halloween sales event happening right now at Koppel. Get 0% financing at Koppel. You heard right, 0% financing on select new models. Also, huge discounts up to $11,500 are available. It's our annual Halloween sales event. Get $11,500 off or 0% financing at Koppel. So please stop on by or check us out online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did 0% with roof credit.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Nebraska Veterans Aid is here for veterans and dependents facing unforeseen financial emergencies. Get assistance with food, fuel, shelter, clothing, transportation, and even funeral and medical expenses. If you're a veteran facing a financial emergency, apply for Nebraska Veterans Aid through your county veteran service officer. Learn more at veterans.nebraska.gov/NVA. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Shopping for new flooring is different today. Getting your questions answered, making the right selection, getting the best value, and installed quickly and professionally. Visit ostreetcarpet.com or shop our store. We'll answer all your questions and help you make the right choice. You'll be enjoying your new floor in just days for less than you'd pay elsewhere. Carpet, vinyl, wood, laminate, tile, and area rugs. We've got it all.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Mulberry Barbecue by Single Barrel is the answer to all your lunch and dinner cravings. They have everything from smoked turkey sandwiches to brisket burritos to burnt-in sandwiches and pulled pork. Try a dinner plate option of barbecue nachos, a half-smoked chicken, a full slab of ribs, and so much more. Don't forget their great sides like mac and cheese, cheesy potatoes, barbecue beans, or red slaw. Mulberry Barbecue by Single Barrel, open Monday to Saturday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. at 11th and Cornhusker Highway.
Cyber threats are everywhere. When is the last time you stopped to think about how you're protecting your business from potential data breaches, phishing scams, or ransomware? It's time to make cybersecurity a priority for your business. At Hamilton, our unmatched expertise and cutting-edge technology goes beyond basic defense, providing proactive, tailored solutions that keep your data, network, and digital assets protected. Better protection, better cybersecurity with Hamilton. Visit our website at hamiltonisbusiness.com to learn more.
Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in, temperature-controlled, high-end wine bar. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for wine, beer, spirits, and cigars. Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old-fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with Taco Night on Mondays or Whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Hi, everyone. Kendall Warnock with A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. If you're looking for an automotive repair facility you can genuinely trust, we would be grateful for the opportunity to earn your business repairing your vehicle. We have ASE master technicians and qualified to work on a variety of vehicles from Hondas to Porsches, Jaguars to Toyotas, and Chevrolets to Fords. We pride ourselves on customer service and relationships, and we would be grateful for the opportunity to serve you. Give us a call at 402-477-4660. A1 Automotive. Always honest answers.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show. All right, Jake's got a couple of questions ready for me, fresh off the hotline. Your questions, comments, thoughts, concerns, or otherwise, as I sit here and fight with the mic. I think the mic's winning. Gosh dang it. All right, what's the number again? We'll see if we can get any last-minute questions, and I'll give some thoughts, responses, reactions to Matt Rule's press conference today.
402-464-5685. You can send in those questions or comments on the Starter Heyman Jewelers text line.
All right. What questions you got there for me initially? At least, what's the first one you got?
Let's go to William Durazo. I'll throw a question in, but he makes a good point here. Says, offense stinks once we're in the posting 35. Our running game stinks. But what is Nebraska's red zone offense is one of the worst in the country. What is holding them back?
So the red zone is tough to score in. You probably heard this before, but if you haven't, it's condensed. You don't have the whole field to work with. You know, if you're at the 10-yard line, you've got 20 yards to work with the 10-yard end zone plus 10 yards versus if you're at midfield, you got 60 yards to work with. You got 50 yards plus the 10-yard end zone. So everything's a lot more condensed. The passing games becomes a lot tougher, and you have to rely more on the run game. We're not great at the run game. We don't rely on our quarterback to help out. So you end up having to pass a lot more. And the thing that we like to do in passing is the screen plays. Well, if you've been doing screen plays up and down the field, they can be very effective in this area because they're great for a condensed type area. But if you've been doing it the entire drive, teams are kind of ready for it. So it's hard to run if you're not great at running. The quarterback doesn't tend on a consistent basis to use his feet as a weapon, which sometimes can be a gigantic weapon. If you watch Oregon and Dylan Gabriel last weekend, he's not known for running, but he ran well, had a couple of rushing touchdowns, even ran a guy over at one point. I thought that was pretty impressive. But for me, then you go to the passing game. Well, it's hard to pass in general. Then all of a sudden, the passes that tend to work best in this area are short little screen plays. Well, you ran a million of them, so the defense is ready. We're not great at perimeter blocking. So it creates all sorts of issues, and it starts with the fact that we can't run the ball consistently. If you can run the ball consistently, you're going to be much better in goal line, short yardage, and red zone. If you can't, it immediately becomes much tougher to do anything else, especially in a condensed area like the red zone. All right. Do we got a couple more things here? Should I go to the press conference reaction, or we got another question or two?
Yeah, I mean, I think probably go to the press conference here. Continue to send those in, and we'll try to get one before the end of the show.
All right. So we should mention the Big Ten issued a statement regarding the inaccurate spot of the ball on Emmett Johnson's run. Inaccurate spot. Wow, that is the understatement of the frickin' millennium. All right. And I quote, during Nebraska's final drive of the first half on second down with 2 yards to gain on the Ohio State 39-yard line, the ball was incorrectly spotted. You don't say. After a run by Cornhusker running back Emmett Johnson, the ball carrier crossed the 37-yard line, and a first down should have been awarded to Nebraska. Replay should have stopped the game to review the spot since it involved the line to gain. So you mean when you're 2 yards past the first down marker, yet after they've spotted the ball, you're still somehow short? That should have been addressed. Oh, man, what a concept. So here's the deal. All right, Rule said he commends the Big Ten for putting out a statement admitting it got the spot wrong. That's really all I want. It's not all he wants. All he wants is for the call to be right. It's just all he knows. It's all he's going to get. You're not going to get anything else. He can't go back in time. They're not. It's all he wants because it's all he's going to get. But at least he got that, I guess. Maybe you feel vindicated, but you don't feel better, in my opinion. All right. Rule has picked up 2 unsportsmanlike conduct penalties this season. The next day he said he was told neither should have been. That's interesting. So twice he's gotten a misconduct penalty, and neither one should have been, he was told the next day, an actual misconduct penalty. Here's the deal. Because after he got the first one, I forget which game it was. It might have been Purdue. If you remember, Jake, hop in. But he basically said somebody's got to fight for Nebraska. And I love that. I don't see him throwing things. I don't see him throwing a tantrum. Obviously, fans are throwing things on the field. I'm not talking about that. Like, he looks to me like he's truly just fighting for his team, his players, and as he put it, Nebraska. And, if you're Coach Rule and you're like, neither one of them should have been, that's what he gets told the next day, misconduct penalties. I don't know. I don't even know if you feel, I guess you feel, I don't know. I don't know if you feel vindicated. I don't know if you feel better about that. I guess you just keep fighting for Nebraska, and, getting a win versus UCLA would sure help a lot as well. But I feel like we have a man who understands Nebraska, constantly tries to learn more about what this state, what this program's about. Obviously, he's leading it, but there's been guys in charge in the past who weren't as interested in such things, and I feel like he truly is fighting for Nebraska. All right, asked about the screen game, Matt Rule says you got to block that front without throwing a couple. I got to read that again. You go block that front without throwing a couple screens. All right, when defenses bring 0 blitzes, many offenses throw screens, Rule says. This is absolutely correct. Screen game isn't good enough. All right. So like I said, one of the main reasons you throw screens is to counter blitzes. That's what I said in the first segment. There's other reasons as well. You want to get somebody some confidence into the flow of the game, whether it's the quarterback, the receiver, and or you just don't trust the longer passing game of your offense for some reason, which is why you would throw so many screens. The reason you initially throw screens is to counter blitzes. All right, it's like in basketball. If you're getting pressed, you run a press breaker. If you're not getting pressed, you look like a fool running a press breaker against nobody, and now you've shown everybody what you're going to do. Apples to oranges, I know that example's not perfect, but it's all still fruit. My point is simply this, okay? I understand why we're doing it to a degree. I don't understand why we're doing it so much when we're not good at perimeter blocking. Somebody's got to help me out with that. I'm curious to see what we do versus UCLA on Saturday, what adjustments are made, what adjustments are not made. I felt like we made a concerted effort and we ran the ball a little bit more on Saturday. Now what gets better or doesn't get better when it comes to the passing game and or amount of screens that are called. Nebraska coach Matt Rule says, watching tape of NU's defense versus Ohio State, that's the best some defenders have looked in their career. I want to argue with that. I mean, that defense played lights out. The defensive line has been a bit up and down this year, if I'm being honest with you. I mean, I watched the Northern Iowa game, and I was like, we should look better than this. Didn't look bad, but considering the competition, which is a decent FCS team, we should look better than this. And you watch some other games, and you're like, we should look better than this. But there are some games where we've looked absolutely like we should. And even against Ohio State, I don't know how you should look against Ohio State because they're, pretty good too. But that is the best some of those guys have played. And I would start with some of the defensive linemen up front. Shout out to those boys as well. All right, Matt Rule was asked whether Indiana or Ohio State was better based on playing them in back-to-back weeks. What do you think he said, Jake?
Say that again. Sorry, I didn't
all right.
compute in my head.
So first of all, he smiled before he answered.
Okay.
All right. But Matt Rule was asked whether Indiana or Ohio State was better after having played both teams in back-to-back weeks. What do you think he said? Keep in mind, it's Matt Rule.
Yeah, I mean, he probably had some good coach speak answer.
And I quote, you can't get me to answer that. End quote. That's the perfect answer. I mean, here's what I will say. Ohio State has more talent. Okay, I don't think many people are going to argue with that. But had they played Saturday, did you watch Indiana and Washington? Indiana won by 2 touchdowns.
Still haven't trailed all season. Still.
Well, I'm not going to say that they boat raced Washington, but they were clearly the better team from the get-go. They were clearly the better team from the get-go. I don't even think it was a 2-score game. I think the margin probably could have been wider than that. Had they played Saturday, yes, Indiana's better than us. It's hard to argue that right now. I think Indiana would have won had they played Ohio State Saturday. Now, they do play at some point this year, don't they, Jake?
Yep.
When is that game? Because I am immensely looking forward to that game.
Yeah,
All
I'll
right.
pull it up for
We'll use it as they're obviously going to use it as a measuring stick of sorts as well. All right, let's see what else we can take away from the Matt Rule press conference. He said he's learning the league can be tough, can be a tough transition. And UCLA is going through that now, obviously talking about our next opponent. All right, Thomas Fidone went to Rule and offensive coordinator Marcus Satterfield a few weeks ago about wanting to catch the ball more, has put together a couple of good games since then. All right, Jalen Lloyd, Coach Rule said, is an, and I quote, excellent receiver, end quote. Should see him continue to emerge with more opportunities. Now, here's my big thing going forward after today. And here's what he said. Need to have the same mindset against UCLA as Ohio State. I said earlier in the show, I'm not going to sit here a week from now if we haven't scored at least one more point than UCLA and say, hey, we played really, really well. Hope is back, et cetera, et cetera. Ohio State, going into that game, a lot of people had lost a certain amount of hope. Hope is back. Respect was earned, at least to a degree, on Saturday versus Ohio State. Going forward, starting especially with UCLA, it's about winning. It is about winning. And I mentioned this on my show last night. Could you imagine if we went 0-4? Oh my! Could you imagine if we went 4-0, 5-7 to 9-3? There, ladies and gentlemen, I believe it's going to be somewhere in the middle. Do we go 1-3, 3-1, 2-2? 2-2 is 7-5. 3-1 is 8-4, which is what I said, and I'm stuck with that pick now. 1-3 is 6-6. Let me ask you this: if we are 6-6, which means we go 1-3 down the stretch, which means we went 1-5 to end the year, okay? But we're in a bowl game. I guess it depends on who the win is. Maybe if it's Iowa, maybe people feel better. It's the last game. It's our big kind of so-called rival, so to speak. But if we're 6-6, how do you think Husker fans feel? Because I'm talking going forward, especially with UCLA. It is about winning games. We don't have to win every single one of them, but we need to beat UCLA. And then I can't wait to see what happens the last 3 games. But what do you think if we end up 6-6, Jake?
Well, I think just because of the way, like you said, it would have ended, that you don't have a whole lot of momentum moving into the next season.
Can you repeat that? I feel like I got lost for a second like you. Could you repeat that for me, my friend?
Well, just because, like you said, how would it end if they finish 6-6? If it's this weekend they win 6 and then you lose their last 3.
I got you.
You wouldn't have a whole lot of momentum going into that. And then I would think, who knows what a bowl game is going to look like? We all want a bowl for the last 10 years, but once you get there, who's going to play? Who doesn't want to? All that. But I don't know. If you would ask me last week if they go 6-6 this year, get to a bowl, I'd say, okay, well, at least they fought through that 56-7 loss. Now I'm kind of back to, okay, well, now they need to do more than that.
I will say this. UCLA is not going to roll over. They're not going to be easy. They're coming off a freaking bye. Everybody we play for a month straight comes off a bye. At least 2 of those 4 games we come off byes as well, USC and Indiana. But we need to start by beating UCLA. Then we're 6-3. Then the question is, do we go 7-5, 8-4, 9-3? I guess would still be on the table. I'm not going to sit here and talk about that a ton, but we got to start by beating UCLA. And I got some strong thoughts on anybody who potentially opts out of a bowl game for Nebraska this year. I'm not going to get into that now because we're not even bowl eligible. But when we get there, because by God, we better, I got some strong thoughts if anybody opts out of the bowl game. And somebody probably will, because that's just the way it is. You got one more question for me, the people segment?
Well, there's just a question from Bill and Bennett. Why is our perimeter blocking so damn bad?
So, okay, it doesn't matter if it's when I started coaching tackle football in 4th grade. It doesn't matter when I just took our team. I didn't take us, but our team went down to nationals as 8th graders right before they all went to high school in Florida this past year. We're playing teams from all over the country. It doesn't matter if you're in high school, college, the NFL. Obviously, the bigger, stronger you are, there's a certain amount of technique to it. Blocking comes down to want to. It comes down to you want to. Some of the worst football players I've ever seen, with all due respect, are some of the best blockers because they wanted to find a way to get on the field, and that was their way. Blocking in large part is want to. Do you want to block? Do you want to stick your head in there? Do you want to go through the whistle? Are you willing to go against someone who's bigger than you? Are you willing to destroy, as you should, someone who's much smaller than you? Blocking is want to. When you have two small tight ends at wide receiver, which is what Banks and Nayor are, they're both listed exactly 6'4", 220. Always take listings with a grain of salt, but that's what they're listed as. There's no excuse not to block. No freaking excuse not to block. I'll just share a story right now. There's a 170-pound freshman at a local high school right now, and he's playing up on varsity because he has a nasty streak a mile wide, and he will hit anybody, anytime, anywhere. That includes kids who outweigh him by over 100 pounds. Out of respect, I'll keep his name out of it, but it's a very real story. He's one of the best blockers because he wants to. All right, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. The locker room's right after this, but I will see you fine folks tomorrow. Until then, go Big Red, and always remember to throw the ball.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Tailored Life is your headquarters for all things fall in Bennett. Make the short drive down Highway 2 for tons of items for your home, both indoors and outdoors. Check out their variety of potted trees, mums, and more. Plus, porch pots and landscape lighting to enhance the outside of your home. Don't forget their home goods for indoors, plus convenient drinks and snacks, most of which are produced locally. Visit Tailored Life today in Bennett and stay tuned to their Facebook page at Tailored Life 360 for food truck events coming up.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. It doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called.